Hello, Rahul. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you. I'm doing very well.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Rahul, yeah, oftentimes, Rahul, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. But before we get there, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my hunter. So, firstly, Rahul, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, my man, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Rahul, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, doctor, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive
hmm
because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Dr. Rahul, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Dr. Raul. I'm talking about ripe
hmm
mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so, so excited. Here's my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Dr. Rahul that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request. That's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your journey, your insights, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering the solutions. Dr. Rahul, these stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Dr. Rahul is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to look selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Dr. Raul. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite, because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, Doctor.
Yes. Well, thank you, Elisha. That is very kind of you, and I love your story about the mango tree because, where I grew up as a child, there was such a mango tree in
Mm.
my grandfather's backyard, and I remember as a young lad climbing it when the mangoes were ripe and sitting in the tree and eating them until one day I found a snake in the tree. After that, I never
Woo,
climbed up again. I don't know if the snake was poisonous or not, but it
I
frightened
tell
me.
you.
I could not go back in the tree.
I've had similar experience. That's why I burst into laughter. I mean,
I think there's something about mangoes and mango trees that
I
like
tell you,
snakes.
man. I tell you.
Snakes like.
Well, thank you so very much, my man, and thank you for being here once again. So let's get started, Doctor Raul. You see,
And thank you, Elisha, for
yeah,
having me.
also, you see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge. Second, I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Dr. Rahul, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, Doctor, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation
Right.
today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Dr. Rahul on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Doctor, We live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out
Yes.
there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Doctor, and our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Dr. Rahul, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal
Sure.
or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Dr. Rahul got here. Then, afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay,
Okay.
Doctor, over to
All
you.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elijah. So I got started in my quest to be a scientist when I was young because, like you, I was seeking knowledge. I was a child and I was always looking for how things work. And that drew me into science and engineering. And then it was when I was 8 years old that I saw Neil Armstrong land on the moon, which inspired me. And I turned to my father and asked him, what did Neil Armstrong do to go to the moon? And he said, well, he was a scientist. I had no idea that he was actually a test pilot, but doesn't matter. For me, he was a scientist. And so I became a scientist because I wanted to figure out more about how things work. And I spent the better part of my life doing that, getting married, having two children, beautiful children who are now grown and full grown adults. And somewhere along the line, I decided that I had done enough work in science. I had brought us a lot of new scientific discoveries that could, in the future, help mankind, but it would be in the future, not today. And so I decided that it was time for me to try to take a different direction, to try to help children, because children really are our future. And a child, regardless of where they grow up, what kind of background they have, what kind of opportunities they have brilliance, which can be tapped if they're given the right opportunity. So I believe every child needs to be given that opportunity, equal opportunity for all, regardless of where you are, regardless of who you are, regardless of your socioeconomic status, everything. And that's why I started working to raise awareness of this problem that we have on our planet, where there are so many children that are marginalized, that don't have enough to eat, that are not properly schooled, that have no opportunities, that don't know that they can actually go beyond, they can actually contribute. And their brains are just as smart, just as active as a privileged child living somewhere else in the world. And so that has become my passion and that has become my dream. And that's what I was working towards. And then I realized that I'd done a lot of that. And in a conversation with a person, discovered that I was doing so much that other people may also want to do, but were not willing to, or not able to, or were afraid of taking that first step to make the change, to change direction. And that is why I decided to write the book, Impact Shift, a the art of pivoting for meaningful change. And which is where I describe my life story, the lessons I've learned, and how I transitioned from being a physicist to being a philanthropist.
This is amazing. And one thing that you said that really stood out and it keeps echoing is children are the future of tomorrow. In other words, if we want to have a better tomorrow, we have to ensure that the minds of the kid now are properly tuned and well trained.
Hmm.
Because if you plant negativity within their minds, then that means the future is going to be troublesome. But if you train them to be great,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you train them to be great individuals and you're putting good stuffs in their mind, it's knowledge and beautiful stuffs, that means the future is gonna be beautiful. And that tells me one thing, something very important, which is one of the people ensuring that we have a beautiful future happens to be Dr. Rahul. Because you are doing a fantastic job, my man. I tell you, and I truly appreciate you for that. So let's get started with your wonderful book. All right. So how was the title formed, and how was the writing process? How long did it take for you to publish it?
So it is going to be published in the next month. roughly.
Oh,
So within 30 days, it should be coming out in the final stages. It isn't yet published, but I got the idea of writing the book about exactly 1 year ago. And so it's the whole process of starting, thinking about it, writing it, to the time when it'll be printed is about 1 year. And as I said earlier, it got started because I had a conversation with a person who asked me the question, why haven't you written a book about your amazing experiences? And I could not answer the question other than I hadn't thought about it. So then I thought about it and said, well, actually, this makes a lot of sense. So I went about writing the book. So why did the title come about? That's because the audience of my book is people who have done something impactful in their life. Everybody does, but now want to move in a different direction. They want to make a shift in focus. That's where the title Impact Shift comes. And meaningful change, because most of the time when people want to change, it's because they want to get more meaning for their life. Because when you first start out as a young man or a young woman, you go, you get educated, you learn how to do things, you go get a job, you find a career, you find a passion in that career, and you do as well as you can. And then at some point in time, that's no longer enough. You want to do something different. And my book helps people who are at that stage of their life where they want to make a shift, want to make an impact shift, I should say. I give them advice based on my own experience. And as one person who read a copy of my manuscript as I finished it said, you're holding their hand through this transition. And that's what I'm trying to do with the book.
holding their hands through the transition. That makes your upcoming book powerful, you know? Well, that's a brilliant one. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So you said that you are a scientist. So how did you,
Yes.
how did you shape your journey as a scientist?
So as I mentioned earlier, I'm very interested in learning how things work, which is what got me interested in physics because of the world around us. I could have done biology, but there was one little problem. I'm very squeamish at the sight of blood. And when I got a chance to take biology, I went to the instructor and I said, what are we going to do in the year? He said, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dissect a frog. And I said, what? A live frog? He said, yes, of course. That's how we do dissections. I said, that's it. Thank you. I'm going to take engineering. I cannot do some biology. I did not want to be the one child who fainted in the class because of the sight of blood. So that's kind of a very mundane way I got involved in science. But as I progressed in my journey, and why I want to do higher education was because I got attracted to the idea of being able to discover something to answer a question that nobody else had ever done before. To become an expert in an area where nobody else had done anything like that before. And that's where I got involved in getting further and further, deeper and deeper into science. And the last 18 years of my scientific career, I spent in what is known as the National Ignition Facility, where we were doing research to try to produce conditions like the sun on Earth to produce clean energy by nuclear fusion. So that kind of, in a nutshell, is my journey in science.
Amazing. It feels so good to have a scientist on the show. Okay. So let us think about persistence. So what does persistence in
Yes.
leadership mean to you?
Persistence is something which you have to be willing to try different things when you discover that what you are doing is not producing the fruit that you wish it to. You can't give up. You need to continue to try. Not try the same thing. Because trying the same thing and expecting a different result is the first signs of madness. And that nobody wants. So we want to make sure that you learn, you analyze, and that's where my scientific background made such a big difference to me because I am able to come up with a problem where I'm trying to do something and then discover there's a challenge. Instead of giving up, instead of just trying to do the same thing over again, I take a step back and look at the data that the challenge has produced. What happened? Why did we get to this stage? And what could I have done differently to lead to a different outcome? And then I try again. And that's where the persistence in leadership comes in. Going to a point where you face an obstacle, face a challenge, taking a step back, analyzing the path that led you there, and then making a change so that you can get the outcome you desire.
mm,
Which, of course, may not happen the first time around. You might have to repeat this one more time. But making steps so that you can get to the desired outcome, so that you can take your team to where they need to go.
and that's a very important one. Not giving up and not sticking to one thing and trying it again and again and again. Or trying it in a different manner, in a different way. I got that. And
Yes.
making use of the, let's say, I don't want to say failure, but the stuff that aren't going your way, making use of those information as a data to upgrade your next testing. I got that.
Yes.
I got that.
I actually think that the word failure should be used.
Hmm.
We tend not to, we tend in modern society, I think we have got to the point where we refuse to use the word failure. And I think that is incorrect because, and let me explain a little bit, because a failure that somebody thinks is because you didn't achieve the desired result is what they call it. But a failure for the person who is in the shoes is actually able to take that and learn from it and get better. So it's not really it's a failure, but it isn't a failure. So we don't, you know, it's one of those things where I think if you look at it slightly differently, you're not failing it, but the failing is that it's failing you. The situation is failing you, and you need to change what you're doing so that you can get past that.
Hmm.
And it's something which happens not just in work and leadership, but also in your personal life, in your personal relationships. If you run into a situation where you have a discussion, you have a disagreement with the person that you are either very friendly with, or you're romantically involved with, or they're your partner, it's the same thing. You have to step back and take accountability, take stock of where you are, and take accountability for what your part was to lead to this failure.
Amazing, and I got that. Like I said earlier, this is one of the benefits of, having a scientist on the show. Thank you once again, my man. So let us talk about
Very
founders. Yeah,
welcome.
we have two more to go. So, what is one common
Yes.
mistake founders make?
So founders, when you think of a founder as a person who has a really brilliant idea and they have done some work that has led to this idea coming to be close to becoming into fruition. And they decide that they're going to set up a company. They set up the company and they decide that they are obviously the best person to lead the company and to do everything because they have the idea. And that's the biggest mistake. You have to recognize your own shortcomings as well. As a person who is truly smart recognizes their deficiencies. I'm a scientist. I have a great, brilliant idea to develop a product. I will found a company, but I will not be the person who is managing the company because that might not be my skill set. My skill set was in developing the technology. I'm a great person who writes incredible code, but I don't know how to sell it. If I found a company and I'm the one who's trying to sell it, the company is going to fail. So founders need to recognize, take real good stock of their skill sets, their strengths, their weaknesses, and then surround themselves with people who complement them, who have strengths where the founder has weaknesses. And that team, and then of course, I think the founders, one of the things you have to do is you have to make sure that you empower your team. And it has to be our team, not my team. It has to be our company, not my company. And that, I think, will make the difference and get you from a point of potentially not being able to succeed to being able to succeed. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, there are always exceptions to every rule. But in general, that I think is the biggest obstacle.
Hmm, hmm, I got that. I got that. So finally, my man, what is one mindset
Yes.
shift that can change someone's life today?
I think looking at the glass half full as opposed to glass half empty, looking for the positive in life and taking note of it and appreciating it. I had to visit a police station in order to get them to inspect my car because I got a ticket for fixing something, and I needed to go get them to take a look, to sign off and say, yes, I have fixed it. I was standing there waiting in line, and the person in front of me walked in, and they had a problem because their car had been towed. And they were explaining to the person behind the counter that their car had been towed. It was on the same day, same place where they park the car all the time. They just got late because they were unable to get out of the house and remove the car before it became a towaway zone. The lady behind the desk listened very patiently, very empathetically, and was so kind to this gentleman who was clearly upset about what had happened that he walked away with a smile on his face, even though he had to pay the fine. And I walked up to her and said, I came here for a reason, but I have to stop for a second. I have to tell you that I appreciate you. I appreciate what you did to the gentleman in front of me. And she said, one moment, please. And she got up, walked outside, came into the lobby, and said, may I hug you? I said, of course. And she said, you made my day. You appreciated what I did.
Wow.
I think that is the mindset shift we have to make. Appreciate the positive and show it in a little way. It took me all of maybe 45 seconds, but I was able to help someone have a better day. And I'm quite sure that because of that, that person would go out and make somebody
Yeah,
else's
it
day
should be
better.
more effective.
And if all of us do it one person at a time, we can make the whole world a better place.
That's so true, my man. And thank you for sharing that story. That's a wonderful one.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to take that as a final thought. So, finally, my man, for folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or make a purchase of your wonderful book once it's out, how can that be possible?
If you look at my LinkedIn profile, which is Rahul Prasad, and you can find me there, contact me, and I will be posting as soon as I have information on where the book is going to be available. I'm pretty sure it's going to be available in paperback, in hardback, on Kindle. So it'll be certainly available at Amazon and all other leading retailers. And I'm in the process of getting an audiobook released as well, because I know, at least for my sake, I like to read, but I have no time to do it, but I have time to listen. And so I love to listen to audiobooks. So my book will be an audiobook as well.
Awesome, and that's so beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing
Thank
this
you.
wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thanks, my man.
Thank you so much, Elisha. Take care.
Beautiful.